Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Friday night pajama party with Emerald Falls Quilts. I'm excited to be here with you all. Hopefully, everything's working right. I was having problems with some echoing earlier, so let me know if things are echoing for you. And go ahead and introduce yourself. Say hello in the comments. Hi, Andy. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, thank you for letting me know it sounds good. It's really weird how we aren't able to completely mute sounds when we use our phone. So sometimes it's hard to tell if things are echoing or not. All right, so welcome, friends. We are just chilling and working on whatever we want to work on. Hey, Linda. I'm so glad you're here, Linda. How is everything going for everybody right now? I know we just had a holiday and a lot of people are still out on vacations. And I'm working on dinner. That sounds amazing. We just had dinner. We had some chicken with mushrooms for dinner tonight. It was very yummy. But I'm also really hot. The AC up here does not always want to work in the summer. I'm going to glisten for y'all. So I'm working on one of my project challenge quilts. So if you have been around with Emerald Falls Quilts for the past year or so and are on my email list, then you know about our project challenge. So basically, we get this little paper, or I give you this little paper at the beginning of the year, and you list out 11 projects, and they don't have to all be UFOs. They can also be projects that you want to get started on. So I have a couple of those, and then each month I tell you which number you're going to work on. And this month is, for me, it's number 8 for everybody, which my number 8 is the Maggie tote. I need to pull that out. That is a project I haven't even started, but I do have fabric, so that's the only checkbox that I have checked off there. And I'm actually going to be working on finishing up my June number, which is this little mini quilt, wall quilt from, I believe I got this as a kit in the box with Jenny and Missouri Star Company, and I need to quilt it. It's just been sitting on my to-do list for forever, and because it's small, I will quilt it myself. Usually my things that I quilt are, if they're bigger than 36 inches, I give them to the long armor. So tell me, do you quilt your own quilts? Or do you use a long armor? I'm going to find that link to the project challenge if you have not seen it before and want to join. We've already done 5 of the numbers out of the 11. And I can tell you which ones we've already done, and you can fill in the numbers we haven't done yet with projects that you want to try to get finished up, or just move on to the next step. It is not a shaming challenge. It's really just something to help remove some of that decision fatigue. Sometimes when you have too many projects happening, you get a little bit of decision fatigue and you don't know what to do next. So this tells me I'm doing this next, and I didn't have to think about it. And so that's what it helps with. And if I don't get it completely finished, that's okay. If I just check off the next step, then hooray, I've accomplished something. So that's the point of the project challenge. But many, many people finish things that have just been sitting around in their sewing rooms or their craft rooms, or they finally get started on that kit that they bought 5 years ago. Anybody resemble that remark? Where you bought a kit a long time ago and then it just kind of sat and never got done? I had one of those. That was one of my, I think that was my February one. It was a little wool kit. And it just sat around. And then I finally got it done. I cannot talk and scroll at the same time. So please pardon the awkward pauses while I try to find that link for you guys if you want to join. As a teacher in a classroom, I would be like, talk amongst yourselves while I find this information. Andy has a long arm, but are to be quilted by on keep smiling up. Yeah. I have a feeling that if I had a long arm, I would have the same problem. Like, I don't know if it would make me finish things any faster. Because then I would still just kind of put them off to the side. I have inherited my love of only, so there's the link if you want to join the project challenge. And we have already done, so number 1 is already done. That's where you're supposed to organize your projects. That's what we did in January. But we have already done 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, and 10. And I will put that in the chat. 3, 4, 5, 8. Whoops. And I'm not wearing my glasses, so my 50-year-old eyes may not have typed all of that correctly. 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. Close enough. Don't know if they're commas or periods. So what are we working on? What is everybody else working on? So I'm going to be marking this quilt. This is why we're not at Gladys tonight. Gladys is my sewing machine, and she normally has her own little name up in the little camera. But I'm not at Gladys today because I'm not doing the quilting yet. I'm actually going to do some marking on this quilt because I want to do something a little different. Normally, I always just do straight crosshatch lines because those are easy, and I got those. I use painter's tape a lot of times to just mark my lines and just lay the painter's tape from corner to corner to start. And then I use the little tool on the walking foot to then do all the distances after that. But I'm going to use this today, and it's kind of shiny. So let me, these are these little templates that I got at the Fiber Festival. So this is the dot to dot curves and grid system with Pauline's Quilters World. She's in Australia, and she did a little demonstration, and I thought it was really cool. So there's these little dots, and you can create these grids, and then you can create all these really cool designs. I'm really just going to take this big wavy one, which is this one. You can't see it because it's clear. And I'm just going to draw wavy lines going at the diagonal because I thought wavy lines would kind of look like little bits of steam going across the coffee cups. So that's what I'm working on. What are y'all working on? There's not too many of us here tonight, so don't be shy. Hubby's grilling hot dogs. Ooh, Andy, where'd you go vacationing? Has anybody else been on a good vacation this summer or going on a good vacation? We're going to Cooperstown, New York in a couple of weeks to go see our daughter. She works at the Glimmerglass Opera Festival in Cooperstown, which is really cool. She's a, I'm going to say the wrong thing, but she basically works in the technical theater side. She does the props and the sets and all that kind of stuff. So she's the behind the scenes magic. And we're going to go see some of her performances. We like to go cheer her on. Ooh, went to Hawaii. Oh, that sounds lovely. And celebrate your 25th anniversary. Well, happy anniversary. All right, so let's see. To work on this, first I need to make sure I have a good straight line. I probably should be using those little dotted parts because then I could mark where the straight line is. How am I going to do this? Watch my chaotic brain. Am I going to make quilt-based things that I saw while I was on vacation? Are you asking Andy, Linda, if she's going to make quilt-based things or if I'm going to make quilt-based things based on Cooperstown? We went last year. I have some ideas for some upstate New York quilts, but I don't know if they're on the agenda yet. We're also going on a really big fancy vacation, but I don't want to talk about it yet because it's probably going to be where the next Wanderlust Quilt Society adventure is going to go, but I'm not quite ready to share that news yet. It's still secret where we're going for the next big Wanderlust adventure. So if I say where I'm going on vacation, then it'll give it away. Ooh, so also last time we talked about the Elm Creek Quilts books, and I remembered that I have this book. This is the, let's see if I can get it without the camera shining on it. So this is the Elm Creek Quilts Quilt Projects inspired by the Elm Creek Quilt novels. And I forgot I had this, but this was one of the first hard quilts that I made. I made this quilt for my son. This one, isn't that pretty? It's called Andrew's Star in the Window, but it has quilts in it based on the books. So it's based on the first 4 books. So the Quilter's Apprentice, Round Robin, Cross Country Quilters, and the Runaway Quilt. And it has all of these quilts that they talk about in those books. You can make the quilt that they talk about in the book. So I forgot I'd had this, but I was looking for a book to do for the next book review. And I was like, oh my gosh, we talked about this so much with the Elm Creek quilts. So of course I had to buy the book because I wanted to make the quilts. And I'm pretty sure I bought this before I even knew how to quilt. And I made that one. And I don't know why this one's marked. Maybe I had planned to make it or I just liked it. Who knows? Who knows what my brain was thinking back in early 2000? Has anybody ever made any quilts from this book before? I can't wait to find out where I'm traveling for the next Wanderlust adventure. Oh, yeah. I'm excited. It is my 50th birthday present. My birthday was in May when I turned 50. And yeah, my husband agreed to take me somewhere I've always wanted to go. And that will probably be the Wanderlust adventure. Did I choose the colors for the project you're working on now? No, I did not. I did not choose the colors for this. This actually was a kit, kind of. So Missouri Star Company does the, they do that holiday box, and I did it one year, and a lot of times they'll give you a pattern, and then they'll give you the fabric to make that pattern. So this pattern, I believe, is called Cozy Cups. And it also had, let me grab them real quick. You also made these little mug rugs, which I still have to sew the binding down on these, but these I already quilted. So there's this one, and then this cute little thing, and then this cute little thing. So you also made 3 mug rugs that I also have to bind and finish, but I did quilt these. And then you can make this mini quilt. So there's enough fabric to do all of that. And I think it was called Cozy Cups. And then this fabric is one of the Bonnie and Camille Christmas lines. I feel like this was 2 or 3 years ago. It may just be a Camille Christmas line because I don't know if Bonnie had stopped by then doing the Christmas lines. I probably should have grabbed the pattern so I could tell you all the information on this. It is really cute. It is all traditionally pieced. So everything is just boxes and angles and sew and flip. Cute little pinwheels. But yeah, I think it was called Cozy Cups. And it also gives you these little mug rugs. So yeah, this is how I normally quilt. Just a little crosshatch. Can you see that? Maybe not. Oh, I know I can do this. So there's some little dots in the center that I'm supposed to be using as a grid, but I'm being a little stubborn and doing this my own way. Anybody else just do things their own way? Okay, the quilting shows up. So the Mystery Star quilting box, yes, they're a lot of fun. This one, it wasn't last year's. It might have been the year before. But it was a lot of fun. But I still am doing projects from that one. So I am not buying another box until I've at least completed all the projects that it gave me. Because I didn't need all the extra work. All right, so I'm just going to put the tape down to mark my center, and then I'm going to do it this way. And then I'll trace my little lines. Anybody else have opinions on quilting yourself? Anybody else have tips? I don't normally quilt things myself very often, so I'm always looking for tips to make this easier and better, even when I'm doing something little. I only quilt the little things. And now this is, no, I don't want pink. I want just the black one. Y'all are very quiet tonight. So Andy's working on dinner. What is everybody else working on? The Meow Bow Wow templates at Pattern Plus, which includes templates for the alphabet. Yes. Hello, Lori. Oh, a Quilt of Valor quilt. That's such a sweet thing to do. I love when we share our quilting with our communities. And as typical is nodding and laughing along, but I can't see y'all. Yeah, I normally teach on Zoom when I'm on a computer, and it's still weird for me to not be able to see reactions from people and just feel like I'm sitting here talking to myself. So thank you for keeping the comments going so I don't feel like I'm just hanging out talking to myself in my craft room, although I do talk to myself all the time in my craft room when I'm sewing. Anybody else? I don't know if that's showing up. Yeah. So I'm using this Sew Line pencil that when you flip it, it becomes different colors. and you can erase the lines, but then they also just go away with water. So I'm kind of excited to be using a different marking tool that hopefully I like. What do you think? Can I just get away with just marking one line and then I can just follow it with my little walking foot feed dog, or do you think these are too curvy? You know, sometimes when you try to follow curvy lines multiple times, they end up becoming straight. Yeah, it is really cool. It was the one that was suggested by, oh goodness, forgot her name already. Pauline? Love when the brain gets older and you forget things within 5 seconds. Yeah, Pauline. So in her demonstration, this is the pencil that she uses for marking her quilts. It's the Soline. I should have kept the box. It's like got 3-in-1. It's got blue, no, 4. Blue, white, pink, and then black for marking. I'm good with the grid quilting, so it should transfer. I think these curves are big enough. I may not have to mark a bunch. And also because this is a wall hanging, I think I can get away with a little less quilting. But I do want to crosshatch. So I want to crosshatch the waves. So then they'll kind of look like wavy steam going across, if that makes sense. And this is just for me, which means I'm okay with it not being perfect and basically playing and practicing a skill I'm not great with. So I also brought, so I'm in my craft room. I'm facing a different direction tonight because I'm at my table instead of at Gladys, my sewing machine. But, so I'm working on this and I'm going to mark my lines. This is part of my project challenge for this. It was last month's project, so I still kind of want to get it done. So I'm marking the line so I can quilt and finish this. If you want to join the project challenge, I will share the link for that. But basically we have a little organizer that we fill out and we mark all the steps that we've done, like pulling the fabric, are the blocks pieced, is the center pieced, is the quilting prep, binding, has it been bound? And the goal is to at least move a couple of steps on whatever project you've been assigned for the month. This month we're supposed to be working on number 8, which is not what this one is. This is my June project. My number 8 is over here in my tray. Oh goodness. So that's where my little works in progress hang out. There's actually multiple works in progress on my tray. So let's keep it real here. One work in progress is, I want to make this skirt, but I haven't even picked fabric for it. And I bought this pattern, I think like 20 years ago. And then my other work in progress is I want to take these 3 ginghams and make a ruffly skirt from it. It's called the Songbird skirt from, oh goodness, it's not on the pattern. And of course I don't remember. Anyway, it's the Songbird skirt from this amazing designer. My friend Tamara had one that she made at QuiltCon, and I want to do it in these 3 colors because when I was a little girl, I had a sundress that was these 3 colors, and I want to make a skirt that like matches that sundress from when I was a little girl. I loved that dress. And my June project that I need to, or July project, is the Maggie tote, the Maggie Poppins tote by Remy Vale Studio. I don't make mini bags, but I really like this bag because it's big and roomy and has lots of cool pockets. And This I have not even started, so that's okay for the UFO project. It's not really even a UFO. That's why I just call it the project challenge instead of the UFO challenge, because if you've had that project you've always want to start, then this will hopefully get you started. And then I'm going to make it with, and I'm not doing this little grid that she did because Tamara's amazing and she can make bags with cool grids. I'm doing the simpler version, which is just the bag. I don't know if there's a picture of it, but I'm going to use these fabrics. Aren't they pretty? Let's take a moment and YouTube Live to just ooh and ah over the pretty fabrics. This is the Stephanie Organis from Andover made this fabric line, and I don't want to mix up her fabrics. It doesn't say which one. I want to say it's the Color Me Pretty, but I could be wrong. Sorry, Stephanie. Anyway, this is what I want to make my bag out of. Aren't they pretty? Like, I'm just going to pet them for a minute. So I'm going to make my bag out of this. So that's my July project, but I won't let myself start that until I finished my June project, which is kind of silly. That's not the point of the project planner, but I don't know. I feel like the cups have been staring at me longer, so I'm going to force myself to finish. And it won't be too hard to quilt this little guy, so I want to get him done. If you're new, here's the link to the project planner. And I don't know if I've missed any questions, but just let me know. Project planner. Here we go. There you go. If you want to join. And we've already done a few months, but that's okay. So the other projects that I have worked on were the, I did finish the little wool kit that I had bought back in 2024, I think. So that was a good one. And then I finished a little mini quilt. It's actually hanging up on my wall over here. And I did finish actually another little mini quilt that's hanging up. It's that pink star. If I lift a little bit, you can kind of see it back there. I finished that one. And I started one. I'm working on a collage butterfly in honor of my mom, who passed away about 1.5 years ago. And at the beginning of the year, it was just an idea, but I do now have the template ready and I have the fabrics pulled and I have the fabrics all fused. So now I just need to take the time to actually collage it. So I feel like it's making me get things done that aren't always related to work, because these aren't really work projects. These are just for me for fun. So I really enjoy it. What is everybody else working on? Some of you have told me you were working on Quilts of Valor quilts, having dinner. It's okay if you're just hanging out. I know we're all in different time zones. It is 9:30 here in North Carolina, which is where I am. And it's dark. Just went dark. So, and I know for some of y'all, it's just now dinner time. So thank you for joining me. I know it's not always easy, especially if you're not a night owl. But if you're not a night owl normally, some of my other friends are having their lives. Sean, with the guy who sews, he is on live tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern. So you should join him if you like to get up early and want to hang out with him. He usually has a guest on his show, which I am tempted to start doing because it means I'm not just sitting here talking to myself. And then my friend Andy, who's with us tonight, she is live on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific. Hopefully I've got that right. And then I have another friend Kathy at Yoga and Quilts, which is really kind of fun. She went live this morning at 10 a.m., but keep an eye on her channel. She's like me. She's not quite live with a schedule yet, but she's getting there. So go check that out, because I think she also does some yoga stuff with you while you're quilting. So those are some people that you can also go see live. If you're watching this recording, thank you for watching the recording. Make sure you ask questions in the comments. They all pop up, and I'm always very excited to answer questions. Yes, there's Andy. Her times are Pacific every Wednesday. Andy also works on her, you do your work in progress Wednesday, right? Like WIP Wednesdays. So you work on whatever and talk about what you're working on at the time. All right, we're going to mark this side now. Actually, I don't know. I may do the other diagonal, and then I'm going to use my, I may use my sewing machine's guide to then go from these first lines, because I think I want them to be similar. Like I want this line, I want each line to kind of match. And I'm worried if I mark this going, if I mark this going this way, it's going to not match. Oh, maybe I can make it match. No, it's going to do like this. I don't want that. Oh, oh, look at all the love happening in the chat. Oh. And let's see, I also brought, I did bring the Ireland quilt, because this is what I was working on last time. I was adding the sashing. And so the Wanderlust Irish Adventure is almost finished. So I had to finish the quilt. So I'm going to kind of step back, but this is what it looks like finished. Look at this little guy. Hold on. Oh, he's upside down. And I'm not very tall. So there we go. So there's the sheep, there's the rainbows, there's the leprechauns, there's the crosses. So it's all done. So that's what I was working on last time, was adding those sashing, and then I was adding the borders. Lori and Linda are almost neighbors. Lori, are you also near Duluth? Yes, so it was part of it's the Irish Adventure quilt, Andy. So we have been reading and learning about Ireland and virtually visiting different locations based on my trip there in 1996 and making this little row quilt together. So it's been a lot of fun. And it's been really fun to see everybody else's quilts, the way they've been turning out. But it's fun. The leprechauns are my favorite. And then my other little work in progress that I need to work on is this quilt. So this is leaves. That's the wrong way. Maybe it goes this way. So this one is leaves that I did as a leader and ender project. So it is finished, and now I have trimmed it, and I just have to add the binding to it. I did not quilt this one because it's bigger than 36 inches. But I want to show you the quilting. This was done by my local quilt shop does long arming. I don't know if you can see it at all, but it's pink, light pink little leaves. I can't tell if you can see that, but I love it. It's so pretty. I love the pretty pantographs. And yeah, now I just have to add the binding. So that was a leader and ender project. Has anybody ever done a leader and ender project before? or know what a leader and ender is? Oh, thanks, Linda. I'm glad we're having fun in Wanderlust. Wanderlust is one of my favorite things that I do. I love creating the quilts and then working with my community to make them while we learn about places. It's the librarian teacher in me. So leaders and enders, if you're new to quilting, are when you take a little piece of fabric like this one and you run it through your machine before you start piecing, because it helps keep you from getting knots at the beginning. You know, sometimes when you start piecing two fabric pieces together, it can knot at the beginning. So this helps prevent that knotting, and it allows you to just continue your chain piecing. So this is what a leader and ender is. You do it at the beginning, and then when you finish your chain piecing, it goes back in at the end in order to allow you to just continue the chain. But I learned from Bonnie Hunter with, y'all, perimenopause brain. Holy cow. Yeah. With Bonnie Hunter, with Quiltville, there we go. With Quiltville, that she does projects with her leaders and enders. So instead of just using a little scrap piece of fabric, she actually ends up making a quilt. It has to be an easier quilt. It can't be one that you have to constantly think about and wrap your mind around. So that's why this was a good one, because really I was just making these leaves over and over and over. And if you've been around me for a while, you know that I really don't enjoy making quilts where I have to make the same block over and over and over. So I was able to make this whole quilt with all of these different leaf blocks, and I didn't get bored because it was basically being done in between all the other projects that I was working on. So you want it to be something that's pretty simple, like just creating lots of half square triangles or adding lots of sew and flip. And you use it the same way you use this little scrap. And instead of just having a scrap piece of fabric, you're sewing pieces together. And then at the end, you get a quilt. It's super fun. Look up Bonnie with Quiltville. And she writes a lot about leader and ender projects. And it's such a cool idea. And if you're able to wrap your head around doing multiple projects at once, it's a fun way to kind of knock out some of those projects that maybe feel like they might be a little more tedious. So, how are y'all doing? I feel like I just keep talking. I appreciate those people that keep sticking around. Oh my goodness. I feel like I should have a lot more tips about quilting for you. So, let's see. We have talked about leader and ender projects. That was one of my goals. I have shown you these cool little templates that I bought at the Fiber Festival that are being used to mark my quilt. Now, there were tons of really cool templates that do lots of really cool things. I'm using it the most basic, boring way possible, but I love that I have these little curves. I've shown you the Ireland quilt. I've talked about the project, finishing your UFO project challenge. What else? Any questions that y'all have? I don't profess to be an expert, but I profess to be a helper. Oh, yes. With the Wanderlust Quilt Society, we do, all of our meetings are on Zoom, which is very different from this. So we do get to know each other and we get to actually interact versus me just being here, kind of dancing with my templates. All right, we're going to go the other direction with this. So I just used the tape to kind of mark the center. I have done my first little curvy line. I'm going to use my sewing machine foot guide to follow that original line for the rest of the lines. Now I'm going to do the center going the other direction because I want this to look like steam. I figured curvy lines would look a little more like steam. And I wanted to kind of break out of my straight quilting line bubble. Any people here that do a lot of their own quilting that want to offer some advice? All right. So tell me, what is your highlight from this week? Oops, that moved. Any good news anybody want to share? My good news this week was that I got to go hang out in my new co-working space and meet and hang out with some new co-working friends. And that was a lot of fun. Sometimes being a solopreneur, as they call us, entrepreneurs that are just little individual businesses, it can get a little lonely sometimes. And I belong to a lot of great online groups, but it's been kind of fun to get to know some local business solopreneurs. I'm not doing a very good job at keeping this straight. That's okay. That's what you tell yourself when it's not working perfectly. That's okay. I think you're usually supposed to say it'll quilt out, but this is the quilting. So it won't quilt out, but the lines will be gone soon. So even better. All right, so I have marked those on both sides. What color do you think I should quilt it with? Any opinions? Oh, Lori quilts all of her own quilts. Okay, you don't have a long arm. Okay, so tell me what you got, Lori. The APQS. George, I'm not wearing my glasses, so please forgive my squinting. I'm being vain, which they don't make anymore. That's a bummer. It's a sit-down machine. Oh, with a big throat. So is it one that you move the fabric underneath it just like a regular machine, right? So the machine's not moving like on a frame. You're actually still moving the fabric just like I would if I was doing this in my regular domestic. Cool idea. Do they? Oh yeah, it's a whole cute little, the co-working space is literally like a whole little cute room that has little couches and little tables. It's very small. Like there's only, I believe, maybe 10 of us in the group. And, it's part of a gift shop. So the gift shop is downstairs and the co-working space is upstairs. It's in an older house. So it's a cute little space. It's like got dark green walls. It's all cozy. They're usually playing some like, I don't know, jazzy music. What do y'all think? What color should I quilt? Should I be safe and just go with white? Should I be brave and go with something else? I used to have a thread that was this green color, but I ended up using it all. Should I go get some more thread that's this green? I'm not doing red. I'm not that brave. Any other color ideas that I could throw in there maybe instead? I should stick with white though, huh? Because it's steam. I don't think I want to do a gray. Yes, you move the fabric. Okay. All the machine does is make the needle go up and down. Well, kudos to you, because that is definitely a really cool skill to have. Are you able to do free motion really well now, Lori? Like, is that a skill you've developed? I would stick with white. I think so too. It'd be fun to do a different color, but Linda's not experienced enough to have an opinion. That's okay, Linda. You could still have an opinion. You could still be like, go with hot pink, Lynn. That'd be fun. I love using variegated colors when I can, but I don't think that would really work for this unless there's some sort of variegated white off white kind of thing. Lori free motions all the time. That is a skill I want to work on, is my free motion. So I just got a Bernina a year or so ago. And one of my goals is to, it came with the stitch regulator thing. And one of my goals is to get better at some of my free motion quilting with that. I've done it with very, very small things so far. I would not do it with something this big. I still struggle with when it leaves the area of this little spot. But you can be bold. No, I still think I'm going to go with white. I don't want the quilting to distract from the cups. In this case, I think I want the quilting to just kind of be there and not be a focal point. Yeah, the cups are very cute. So yeah, with the other ones, where'd they go? So with the little mug rugs, I just did white. And you can see the quilting on those. This one I just did little straight lines across. Oh, my little thing is really crooked with my table. Let's put this back down. And then this one I did cross hatching. And that's the back. Like the threads with the sheen, like superior. Oh. I might have to look at that. Superior's Magnifico or their variegated brand. Okay. Okay. I'll take a look at those. I might just use white with what I have for these, but quilting with a sheen. So are they cotton or they have a poly blend with them? Because I know sometimes quilters prefer a poly blend because it's less likely to break. When I do my collage quilting, I use 40 weight thread because you're just quilting grids with collage quilts. And you have to be able to get through all of the layers of steam-a-seam. And I use 40 weight thread. I use either Aurifil or Scanfil threads, and they work really well for that. But yeah, polyester I've heard is really good when you're wanting to quilt because it breaks less. So that's an idea. Thanks for all of your advice, Lori. I appreciate that. If you're watching the recording, Lori is the very helpful star of the show tonight. She's giving me all the quilting advice because I am still pretty new to quilting. I only quilt things that are about this big that you can see here. Any other questions before we call it a night? We're very quiet tonight. Kind of a small group. I bet everybody's on vacation. Either that or I'm my chatter is not super entertaining, but that's okay because I don't know. It's fun to just talk to myself, I guess. I make quilt bags. So Lori makes quilt bags and she has a supply of polyester and cotton threads. Yeah. I have a giant supply of Aurifil and Scanfil cotton threads because I did Aurifil's, they did that thread box where they sent you all these different threads every month and talked about how you could use them. And now I've started using Scanfil. I really like them. They're 100% cotton and they're organic and they come on wooden spools, and my machine has way less lint with them. So that's why I've started using them a lot, and they have really pretty colors. But mostly I'm just using mine for piecing, and then I use 40 weights when I do collage quilting. And then when I need big things quilted, I send them to my very fabulous long armors at my local quilt shop. So that's what works for me. We all have our own things, right, that we love to do. I'm very entertaining. I just started piecing with superior thread. And would love to sew with now on my Bernine. Yeah. I haven't used, well, I think I have some superior thread. I'll have to take a look at it. I started out sewing with whatever, I started out sewing clothes with my mom and my grandma, like many of us did when we were sewing. And when I was a kid, I never even realized that there were different thread weights or anything like that. I would just go to, we would go to Joann's or Hancock's, not the Hancock's of Paducah, but we had a store called Hancock's that I think was like just another fabric kind of store. And honestly, I just would pick the thread that matched whatever color fabric I had picked. So it was whatever they had on their big display. And I remember one time I had this purple cotton. I was not allowed to pick fabrics that had knit in them because my grandmother and my mom refused to sew anything with knits. And I wanted to make this purple plaid or purple pleated skirt. And so I had to go find just the right color purple. So I never even knew to like pay attention to thread weights and brands. I just literally would pick my threads based on what color matched. And that's okay too. But now I know. And now I know what I like. And we all have what we love and what works with our machine. Every machine can be a little different. Superiors, is that Omna? I really should put in my glasses. Omni for piecing. Okay. Superior Omni for piecing. Nice. All right, friends, if y'all don't have any further questions, we might call it a night. Thank you for joining me for my second ever live. We talked about quilting, and Lori gave us lots of great advice. If you're watching the recording, I will try to post any links that I posted in the chat. We talked about the project organizer and the project challenge. Even if you don't really want to join the challenge, the organizer is kind of really helpful if you are a person that has lots of projects and you like to see little check marks of how far you've gotten with each project. So that's always fun. And I don't know, I showed off some of my projects that I need to work on. We talked about leaders and enders. We talked about the Elm Creek Quilts quilt book, not just her fiction books, but she's actually written books that make some of the quilts she talks about. So that's fun. I'm so glad you guys are having fun at the pajama party. Hopefully you had some cozy sewing time if you were just hanging out and sewing while you listened to me. Or hopefully you've made some new friends. I will probably do another one of these sometime next month. Right now the plan is to do them monthly. And then once things calm down with travel and some other events, then we might start doing them bi-weekly. I don't know if we'll ever get to weekly, but there will definitely be more of a schedule so that we can know when we're seeing each other and meet up a little more consistently. But I appreciate y'all being here and hanging out with me and chatting with me. And now it's your turn to go make something beautiful. See you later, friends.